Friend, today I'll tell you a thrilling story where an alien from a distant world crash lands on Earth and bonds with a human named Eddie. Together, they become something extraordinary, half man, half creature, driven by chaos and heart. But when a dark force rises to claim the alien's power, their bond faces the ultimate test. It's a tale of action, sacrifice, and survival that will keep you hooked till the end. The movie opens on a distant planet called Clintar, home to strange, powerful creatures known as xenophages. Among them sits Knull, their dark god and creator. However, we soon learn that Knull himself is imprisoned, held captive by his own creations, the symbiotes. Now, what exactly are symbiotes? They too are alien beings, but they were all created by Knull himself. Knull begins narrating his story, declaring, "I am Knull, the god of darkness." He explains that eons ago, light invaded his kingdom of darkness, destroying his reign. To make things worse, the symbiotes he had created betrayed him, binding him in chains and leaving him imprisoned on Clintar forever. But now, Knull senses that his time of freedom is near. The key to his release lies in something called the codex, and only the codex can break his chain. Determined to rebuild his empire, Knull commands his xenophage followers to search every corner of the universe for the codex, so that he may finally be set free. Before moving forward, it's important to understand who these xenophages truly are. The xenophages are the native creatures of Clintar, loyal servants created by Knull himself. Unlike the symbiotes, they never betrayed their master. They still worship him as their god. Knull promises them, "When I am free, I will destroy every symbiote in existence and spare your lives." Hearing this, the xenophages open a massive portal and spread across the universe, beginning their relentless search for the codex. He's deep in conversation with the bartender, talking about the Marvel universe and the strange things he has witnessed. Suddenly, from Eddie's body, Venom extends multiple black tendrils, using them to make Eddie a drink. The bartender, terrified and confused, stares in shock, unable to comprehend what he's seeing. Eddie drinks casually, as if it's the most normal thing in the world. Just then, his eyes catch a news report playing on the bar's TV. The breaking news reveals that a police officer named Patrick has been murdered, and the police are blaming Eddie for it. According to them, Eddie is the prime suspect. The murder took place in San Francisco, while Eddie is currently in Mexico. Still, the entire police force is after him. Venom asks, "So, where do we go now?" Eddie replies, "We're heading to New York. If we go back to San Francisco, the cops will arrest us immediately. But in New York, there's a judge I know, and I've got dirt on him. With his help, we can prove our innocence." After finishing their drinks, they pay the bill. But as they leave, a small fragment of Venom unknowingly remains behind on the counter. Eddie and Venom hit the road, beginning their journey toward New York. As they drive, Eddie hears something, the desperate barking of several dogs nearby. Following the sound, he discovers a horrifying sight, a group of wild dogs locked up in metal cages. Outraged, Eddie decides to free them. But before he can act, a group of armed traffickers appears, the men responsible for capturing and selling the dogs. They warn Eddie to back off, threatening him to leave immediately. Eddie pleads with them, saying, "Please, let these dogs go." But the men refuse. Unfortunately for them, Venom doesn't take kindly to threats. Without warning, Venom bursts out of Eddie's body, delivering a powerful kick that sends one thud flying. The others open fire, but Venom quickly takes control, dodging bullets and tearing through them with brutal efficiency. In an epic action sequence, Venom teams up with the freed dogs. Yes, even they seem to fight alongside him, and together, they destroy the entire gang. In the end, Venom finishes the fight by devouring the criminals, claiming their heads as his reward. After the carnage, Eddie returns to his human form, exhausted but calm, and continues his journey toward New York. Moments later, as the dust settles, something eerie happens. One of Knull's xenophages arrives at the bar where Eddie was earlier. Whenever Venom fully manifests outside his host, the codex's energy signature becomes visible across space, allowing the xenophages to track it. However, as long as Venom stays within Eddie's body, the codex's location remains hidden. This is why the xenophage had traced that exact spot. It had sensed the codex signal from Venom's brief appearance in full form. Now, the scene cuts back to that same bar, moments after Eddie's departure. Outside the bar, a CCTV camera was quietly watching Eddie, and on the other end of that feed, an unknown man was keeping a close eye on him. We don't yet know who this man is, but he immediately calls General Rex to inform him about Eddie's location. Without wasting a second, Rex gathers his team and heads straight there. Meanwhile, inside the bar, the bartender, the same man who had been drinking earlier, notices a strange black fragment left behind when Venom paid. As he's about to touch it, General Rex and his men arrive. Rex quickly seals the piece inside a tube and warns, "Don't make the mistake of touching it. It's a virus." He then questions the bartender about Eddie, and the terrified man replies, "He was insane. He was talking to himself, and strange black hands were coming out of his body." Rex's men knock the bartender unconscious and take him with them. Rex then transports the Venom fragment to Area 51, revealing that he actually works there. Upon arrival, Rex deposits the fragment in the research lab, and around him, several other symbiotes can be seen contained in glass chambers. Soon after, we meet Dr. Pan, a scientist at Area 51 who calls Rex over to show him something unusual. Inside a secure room, Rex spots Patrick, the police officer who was supposed to be dead. Shocked, Rex exclaims, "Wait, he died. How is he alive again?" Dr. Pan explains calmly, "We implanted a symbiote inside him to study its behavior." In truth, Patrick's body was now nothing more than a vessel. What lived inside him was the symbiote itself. Dr. Pan begins questioning it, asking, "Why did you symbiotes come to Earth?" The creature responds, "To save ourselves. We were all running for our lives." It was talking about Knull, the dark god who created them. But now, the symbiote continues, "He's hunting us across the universe. Once he finds us, he'll kill us all." The creature also mentions the xenophage, saying, "After we fall, your kind will be next. Darkness will swallow your world." When Dr. Pan presses for more details, the symbiote struggles. Knull's control over its mind prevents it from speaking freely. Since Knull had linked all symbiotes' consciousnesses together, the moment one of them sensed the xenophage, the rest knew too. Cut to a flight from Mexico to New York. Eddie is on his way there as well. But not in the plane, he's on top of it. Since he was still being hunted by the police and couldn't afford a ticket, Venom carried him high above the clouds at 35,000 feet. Terrified, Eddie shouts, "I'm going to die before we even reach New York." Seeing his panic, Venom emerges from within him, forming his full monstrous body. Just then, the xenophage locates the codex signal and swoops down through the sky, landing on the plane to attack. Venom fights back fiercely. Using his cunning, he throws the xenophage straight into one of the plane's engines, shredding it to pieces. But the blast sends Eddie tumbling off the plane. His terrified scream echoes through the sky, until Venom re-enters his body mid-fall and morphs into a parachute, saving him just in time. Once they land, Eddie gasps for breath and immediately demands, "What the hell was that thing? Why did it attack us?" Venom replies gravely, "That was the xenophage, the one who created the symbiotes. He was sent by Knull himself to find the codex." Eddie frowns. "Then she's your sister or something, but what does she want from us?" Venom explains, "We're her prey. She came for the codex inside us. Knull needs it to set himself free." Still confused, Eddie snaps, "Codex? What even is that?" Venom sighs, realizing he must show him. He dives into Eddie's mind, revealing memories. When a symbiote revives its host after death, a codex is formed, a living trace that binds us forever. Eddie mutters, "Well, lucky for me, I've never died." But Venom reminds him, "You did die once, and I brought you back. That's when the codex was born inside us." Shocked, Eddie asks, "Then how do we destroy it?" Venom answers darkly, "Only one way. One of us must die. Only one way. One of us must die. If either you or I cease to exist, the codex dies with us." Eddie scoffs. "Yeah, that plan's not exactly appealing." He then asks, "So how do we stay safe from the xenophage?" Venom explains, "It can only track us when I fully merge inside you. That's why, for now, I'll only extend parts of myself, like my arms or head, to avoid detection." As they continue their journey, they come across a lone horse. Exhausted from walking, Eddie complains about his aching legs. So Venom merges into the horse's body and races across the terrain with incredible speed, carrying Eddie like the wind. For the first time in a while, Eddie actually laughs, clearly enjoying the wild, exhilarating ride. Meanwhile, we see General Rex, who receives the report that Eddie has jumped off the plane. The moment he hears this, Rex rushes to the site with his entire team. Using advanced tracking technology, they quickly locate Venom's presence. Realizing they're being hunted, Venom and Eddie dive into the water to escape. The soldiers immediately follow them in, splashing into the river with their weapons ready. Eddie and Venom swim with all their might, trying to stay ahead, but one soldier catches up and grabs Eddie, forcing him underwater. The soldier pulls out his gun to shoot, but during the struggle, the gun goes off accidentally, killing the soldier instead. Eddie stares in horror. Shaken and guilt-ridden, he never meant to take a life. It had happened unintentionally. Meanwhile, Venom is being surrounded by several soldiers' nets. Thinking fast, he slips into the body of a fish, then into a frog, and keeps leaping away through the water while the soldiers continue their futile search. But soon, Venom spots a waterfall up ahead, and to his horror, Eddie is being swept straight toward it. To save him, Venom has no choice but to merge fully into Eddie's body. That decision, however, has consequences. The moment Venom fuses completely, the xenophage detects the codex's location and immediately dives down to Earth, arriving at the scene. Seeing the monstrous xenophage, The soldiers panic and open fire, but their bullets do nothing. Instead, the creature attacks them, devouring them alive one by one. Taking advantage of the chaos, Venom grabs Eddie and escapes the area. Watching his entire unit get swallowed, General Rex loses his composure. He contacts Dr. Pan, reporting, "I think that creature is here, the one the symbiote inside Patrick warned us about." Dr. warned us about. Pan turns to the contained symbiote in her lab and informs it, "The being you spoke of, it has reached Earth." The symbiote responds gravely, "He's come here because many of my kind are on this planet, but the one he wants is the black symbiote. Knull's key to freedom, the codex, lies within him. That key must never reach Knull." Doctor. Pan asks anxiously, "If Knull escapes, will he destroy your species?" The symbiote replies, "Not just ours, yours too. He will annihilate everything in this universe." General Rex, listening in, demands, "Then how can we stop him?" The symbiote answers, "You can't. He isn't from this universe. He existed before it. Once he's free, the game is over." Rex insists, "There must be something we can do." The symbiote says firmly, "Prevent his release. Don't let him get the key. As long as the black symbiote and his host live, the codex remains safe. But if either of them dies, the codex will vanish." Hearing that, General Rex makes a grim decision. He resolves to eliminate Eddie Brock to ensure Knull never obtains the codex. Meanwhile, Eddie continues wandering through the dense forest, tormented by guilt. "There's blood on my hands. I killed someone innocent," he murmurs bitterly. But Venom scoffs, "They were all trying to kill you, and you're crying over one of them?" As they argue, Eddie spots a small camp ahead. A family is there, preparing lunch. Seeing Eddie barefoot and disheveled, they mistake him for a poor wanderer. The man, Martin, welcomes him warmly and offers him food. But before Eddie can eat, Venom disgustedly knocks the plate away. Eddie sighs and explains, "I'm heading to New York." Martin, surprised, says, "On foot? That's impossible. My family and I are heading to Las Vegas first. We can drop you there. From Vegas, you can find your way to New York." Eddie gratefully agrees. During the journey, Martin tells him that they're on their way to Area 51, hoping to catch a glimpse of Alien, something his family has been obsessed with. "Do you believe in aliens?" Martin asks cheerfully. Eddie freezes for a moment. The irony of the question doesn't escape him, considering there's an actual alien living inside him. He forces a faint smile and says nothing. Soon, the family invites Eddie into their van, and they hit the road toward Las Vegas. On the way, they start singing off-key songs loudly. Venom, amused, begins humming along in his deep, monstrous voice. Eddie has no choice but to endure it, awkwardly smiling while secretly wishing for the ride to end. By nightfall, they finally reach Las Vegas. The family drops Eddie off, noticing his torn clothes and bare feet. Out of kindness, they hand him a pair of slippers and $20. Eddie thanks them sincerely, and they bid him goodbye before driving off toward Area 51, excited to see real Alien. As Eddie stands in the neon-lit city, Venom suddenly says, "I want to see the Statue of Liberty someday. It's been my dream." Eddie chuckles softly and promises, "Once we get through all this, we'll go there and celebrate. Just you and me." Venom happily agrees, clearly touched by the promise. But first, they have to survive and find a way to reach New York. With only $20 to his name, Eddie scans the streets. Spotting the bright lights of the Paris casino, Venom suggests, "Let's gamble. I can turn 20 into 2,000. Eddie hesitates, but then shrugs. "Why not? We've got nothing to lose." However, as soon as they approach the entrance, the security guard takes one look at Eddie's ragged state and shoves him away. Furious, Venom's temper flares. His symbiotic head bursts out, grabbing the guard and smashing his skull in a flash. Realizing they still need to get inside, Eddie looks around and spots a drunk man in an expensive suit. He approaches politely, hoping to borrow his clothes, but the drunk stumbles forward and urinates on Eddie's leg. That's the final straw. Venom snaps, kills the man in one quick strike, and drags his body into an alley. Moments later, Eddie emerges wearing the man's suit, looking sharp and confident. He strolls into the casino like he belongs there. Once inside, Venom takes control, his reflexes lightning fast, his mind focused. He starts playing with the energy of a predator, convinced he'll turn $20 into 20,000. But luck isn't on their side. Within minutes, they lose everything, even the 20 that kind family had given him. Just then, Eddie looks up and freezes. Standing across the casino floor is Mrs. the Casino Floor, Chen, the same Mrs. Chen we saw in Venom and Venom 2. Eddie can't believe his eyes. "Mrs. Basters." Chen is overjoyed to see Venom again. She excitedly tells Eddie that after winning big at the casino, she's bought herself a luxurious penthouse suite in the same hotel. Overcome with nostalgia and happiness at seeing them after so many years, Mrs. Chen invites Eddie and Venom to celebrate at her penthouse that night. Meanwhile, we cut to the mysterious man who has been tracking Eddie. The moment he learns that Eddie has checked into the hotel, he immediately contacts General Rex, informing him of Eddie's location. Rex, however, insists that this time he wants full control of the mission, and the mysterious man grants him permission to lead the operation himself. Back at the hotel, the celebration begins. Eddie and Mrs. Chen reminisce over old times and enjoy the evening together. As the party winds down, Eddie prepares to leave, thanking Mrs. Chen for her kindness. But before he can go, Mrs. Chen playfully insists on one last thing. She wants to dance with Venom. Eddie immediately refuses, saying, "We can't stay here. The police are already after us." But the moment Mrs. Chen mentions dance, Venom's inner Michael Jackson awakens. Without warning, Venom bursts out, takes partial control, and starts dancing wildly with Mrs. Chen, spinning, moonwalking, and grooving in the middle of the penthouse. Eddie can only groan helplessly as the bizarre dance unfolds. However, Venom's appearance has a dangerous consequence. The moment he comes out in full form, the xenophage detects the codex's location. The creature instantly descends from the skies and lands near the hotel, tearing through the streets to find them. Sensing danger, Venom quickly retreats back inside Eddie before the xenophage arrives, causing it to lose the signal and leave empty-handed. But just as the threat passes, General Rex and his heavily armed strike team storm the building. They break into the penthouse, surround Eddie, and capture both him and Venom. Meanwhile, we return to Martin and his family, the same kind-hearted travelers who had helped Eddie earlier. They have finally reached Area 51, thrilled that their dream of seeing real aliens is about to come true. Desperate for a glimpse, they sneak inside and climb onto a high observation tower, hoping to spot something extraordinary. Back at the facility, Eddie and Venom are brought to Area 51, where Venom is separated from his host and imprisoned alongside several other symbiotes in containment pods. Eddie, now unconscious, wakes up in a dark, sealed chamber. Through the glass wall in front of him, he spots someone in the next cell. Officer Patrick, the man he had seen dead on the news. Eddie is stunned. Suddenly, the symbiote inside Patrick emerges and speaks to Eddie. It warns him gravely, whatever happens, Knull must never get the codex. Before Eddie can respond, Dr. Pan and her assistant enter the room to question him, but they are interrupted as General Rex storms in with his men, pushing everyone aside. Pointing his gun at Eddie, Rex announces, "From now on, I'm in charge of this entire operation. Dr. Tosh of this entire operation." Pan demands, "What are you trying to do?" Rex replies coldly, "If either of them dies, the codex dies with them. So I'm going to end this right now. I'll kill Eddie Brock, Dr. Tori." Pan pleads with him to stop, but Rex ignores her and drags Eddie out of the chamber. He raises his gun and shoots Eddie right in front of them. But before Rex can finish the job, Dr. Pan's assistant suddenly convulses, and from within her body, Venom bursts out, roaring in rage. It turns out, the assistant had secretly smuggled Venom inside her to reunite him with Eddie. Venom lunges at Rex, knocking him out cold in seconds. However, the explosion of energy from Venom's return reveals the codex's location once again, and at that exact moment, the xenophage smashes through the lab's walls, roaring and destroying everything in its path. Scientists and soldiers scatter in terror. Inside the chaos, Patrick's symbiote leaps into battle to protect the codex. "Go!" it shouts to Venom. "Save the host, I'll hold him off." It then throws itself at the monstrous xenophage, buying them precious time. Venom, realizing what's happening, quickly frees the imprisoned symbiotes, tearing open the containment pods. As they escape, several of the free symbiotes bond with nearby humans, creating new hybrids. One of them, Lasher, merges with Dr. Pan's assistant CD, forming a fierce new ally. Together, these symbiote hybrids join forces with Venom to fight the xenophage in an epic, explosive battle inside the Area 51 compound. Gunfire, acid, and dark energy fill the air as General Rex and his soldiers also open fire, desperately trying to help. But the xenophage is too powerful, crushing walls and devouring anyone in its way. Meanwhile, on the observation tower above, Martin and his family finally witness the truth. Real aliens, symbiotes, and chaos unfolding before their eyes. Their excitement turns to pure terror as they realize they've stumbled into a nightmare. "Aliens are real, and they're killing everyone," Martin whispers, frozen in shock. Amidst the mayhem, Dr. Pan spots the tube containing the Venom sample that had been left behind earlier. She grabs it and flees the lab as explosions erupt around her. Eddie and Venom, understanding that survival is now their only goal, agree to break free. With help from the other symbiotes, they tear down the laboratory walls and escape to the surface. At that very moment, the xenophage also bursts outside, shrieking in fury. The symbiotes swarm it from every direction, trying to hold it back. Eddie looks up and sees Martin's family, trapped on the tower above, watching in horror. He instantly launches himself upward, using Venom's tendrils to reach them, but when they see his monstrous form rushing toward them, Martin and his terrified family scream in panic. The children scream in terror, as Eddie climbs toward them in his monstrous Venom form. Sensing their fear, Eddie quickly says, "You don't have to be afraid of us. I promise, I'll save you." Just then, General Rex and his strike team arrive on the scene. Without hesitation, Rex fires a rocket launcher at both the xenophage and one of the symbiotes. The massive explosion shakes the ground, and the tower that Martin and his family are standing on begins to collapse. Eddie and Venom react instantly. With the help of the other symbiotes, they extend their tendrils and catch the falling structure, saving Martin's family and preventing them from crashing to the ground. Watching this act of selflessness, Rex finally realizes the truth. The symbiotes aren't monsters. They're capable of good, of compassion, of protecting humanity. But before anyone can breathe in relief, the xenophage, thought to be dead, suddenly comes back to life. Roaring in rage, it knows it can't win this battle alone, so it sends out a signal to Knull, the dark god of the symbiotes, pleading for help. Knull immediately responds, dispatching an entire army of xenophages to Earth. Within minutes, the skies darken as they descend, and soon, absolute chaos erupts. Realizing what's about to happen, Eddie knows there's only one way to protect the innocents. He transforms fully into Venom, jumps on a motorcycle, and speeds away from the battlefield, hoping the xenophages will detect the codex signal within him and follow. The plan works. Every last xenophage abandons the others and chases after Venom, leaving the civilians behind. A ferocious chase unfolds as Venom and Lasher join forces, battling one xenophage after another across the burning desert. They fight fiercely, tearing through the monstrous creatures with everything they have. Meanwhile, General Rex rallies his surviving soldiers and orders a full-scale counterattack. Rockets streak through the air, gunfire echoes across the base, but it's no use. The xenophages are far too powerful. Their armor shrugs off bullets and explosions like dust. One by one, the soldiers fall. Rex himself is gravely wounded in the chaos, collapsing amid the wreckage. Lasher, exhausted and outnumbered, continues to fight bravely beside Venom, but even he can't withstand the onslaught. He's struck down, consumed by the swarm. Venom roars in anguish, watching his comrade die before his eyes. Soon, Eddie and Venom are cornered, battered, bleeding, and nearly spent. Venom drags Eddie into cover, both of them gasping for breath. They know the truth now. They can't win this fight. Their only victory lies in sacrifice. Looking at each other one last time, they make a silent promise. They'll never forget each other. As the xenophages close in, Eddie and Venom step out of the shadows and surrender. The codex's energy draws the monsters toward them like a magnet, and the xenophages pounce, swarming them from all sides. But Venom has one last plan. Channeling every ounce of his power, he absorbs the xenophages into himself, trapping them within his own body. Roaring in agony, he begins to pull them all toward a massive acid tank nearby, a tank filled with an incredibly corrosive chemical that can dissolve anything, even symbiotes. Venom signals to the injured General Rex, gesturing for him to activate the acid valve. Rex hesitates for a second, tears in his eyes, but he knows what must be done. He slams the switch down. The tank bursts open, spilling a torrent of glowing acid. Venom drags the struggling xenophages under the acid flow, taking them, and himself, to their fiery end. "This is the only way," Eddie whispers, his heart breaking. As the acid engulfs them, Venom's body begins to melt. In his final moments, Venom uses his remaining strength to shield Eddie from the explosion, wrapping around him like armor. "Goodbye, Eddie," his voice echoes softly. The acid ignites, triggering a massive blast that engulfs the entire facility in flames. The shockwave spreads rapidly. Dr. Pan and CD run desperately to escape, but as debris falls, CD trips and collapses. Refusing to abandon her, Dr. Pan breaks the containment tube she's carrying, releasing the symbiote sample inside. The creature instantly bonds with her, choosing her as its new host. Empowered, it surges forward with lightning speed, grabbing CD and leaping out of the blast radius just in time. Moments later, the inferno consumes everything. We cut to Eddie, lying in a hospital bed, eyes fluttering open. His body is covered in scars, but he's alive. A military officer stands beside him, gratitude in his voice. "You saved the world, Mr. World, Mr. Brock. Whatever that thing was, it's gone. You did it." He pauses, then adds softly, "It's time to let it go, start a new life." Days later, Eddie walks out of the hospital, alone, but at peace. He heads toward the Statue of Liberty, Venom's dream destination, the place he always wanted to see. Standing there, gazing at the towering monument, memories of Venom flood his mind. Their battles, their laughter, their strange but unbreakable bond. Eddie smiles sadly, eyes glistening. "We made it, buddy," he whispers to the wind. And with that emotional moment, the bond between man and symbiote eternally remembered, this thrilling chapter comes to an end. If this story moved you as much as it did me, don't forget to hit that like button. Let's reach 1,000 likes for Eddie and Venom's ultimate sacrifice. Tell me in the comments, what part of their journey hit you the hardest? Was it their bond, their battles, or that heartbreaking final goodbye?